And hello, everyone. I'm Joe the host. This is Beyond the Woodline. Uh, Shannon is not able to join us. She's doing some security work at a haunted house. She doesn't even need a costume. She's so ugly. But I'm kidding, Shannon. When you see this, you'll probably be mad, but it's okay. If you guys get a chance, though, Shannon was recently on Discovery Plus telling her paranormal story. Pretty good story, actually. So if you guys get a chance, check it out. I'm sure she would appreciate that. And but in the meantime, I've got some special guests with me tonight, guys from the Dark Mirror Radio Group. How are you guys doing?
Absolutely
Good
fine,
evening.
thank you.
All right.
So, one of the things I want to do is thank you guys. I know it's late for you guys, perhaps. I really do appreciate that, man. For those of you guys, those of the viewers that don't know, these guys are on the other side of the Atlantic. They're over there in the UK. So, like I said, well, thanks a lot for joining the show. And right off the bat, man, where did you guys come up with the Dark Mirror Radio?
It was before Wayne joined. It was a couple of others who I did the show with, and we were coming out with all these different names and ideas. And I found a picture that we use now, that Dark Mirror I sent you, and it said the Dark Mirror, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, I like that, and I sent it to my other co-hosts, and they just went, that's it, Dark Mirror Radio Show, and it stayed.
Yeah, and I like that too. It was a good concept, I think. So tell us a little bit about the show.
That was me.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like a hippie because I need to actually shave it. So.
And I've still got a full head.
He's the hippie.
Full? Is it full?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the show itself. What do you guys discuss on that show?
A myriad of things,
Okay.
but mainly paranormal. We set off. We have a specific subject that we choose, usually the week before, and then we sort of tend to go off on a tangent. And we will start off with a subject of, say, the Chinese landing on the moon, which was originally our main one for last night.
Yeah.
And we sort of, after about 10 minutes, we ended up getting sidetracked, and we'd end up talking about the supposed missions of the Apollo missions that sort of did but didn't happen. And then we'd go off again and we would talk about something else. And then we ended up talking about horror movies and what our favorite characters were. So we start off with a specific subject, and then we end up talking about something completely different. And over the last 51 weeks, I think it is, we've started off with just an hour-long show, and I think now we've got to about 3 hours. I think is our record at the moment.
Yeah, and it's always, we're all there going, like, really got to go now, need to lose, got to go now. No, don't go.
Yeah, someone's always got that one last story. Right.
We've recently changed the format, haven't we? Because we used to have that one topic, and that was all we talk about. And then we went, do you know what? Stuff it. We changed it because the Dark Mirror Show is known for voicing the things that a lot of people are not are afraid to talk about.
Right.
And we'll talk about everything. We'll rip apart a load of conspiracy theories, governments, corruption, you name it. If it's involved in UFOs or paranormal, we'll just crack on. Actually, no, normally me. It's normally me who comes out there, and then Wayne goes, "Oh God."
That's that's a topic that a lot of people kind of tend to stay away from here. We'll bring it up, but we won't like discuss it and go into detail and go into depth with it. But do you think all the governments are in cahoots with each other? You think every government is doing their own thing?
I think the main superpowers know what the other superpowers doing.
Yeah.
And I think the NATO powers obviously all know what the other NATO powers are doing. But there are some governments that are pretty okay with UFOs and stuff, aren't there? Like the South American ones, Italy, Some of the Russian states, they're quite open about it. You know?
Yeah, we discovered that the French are more of the most open country in the world in regards to UFOs and the disclosure of sightings and reports. They're quite happy to actually take the whole report unedited and putting it on their own website so that the general public can actually view the whole report from start to end. Whereas other countries tend to sort of push it under the carpet, so to speak. They would rather try and blindside people because they don't want to scare people into thinking that there was this spacecraft seen. And so they try to hide it like Project Blue Book used to do, which me and Mark, we discussed on a previous show to quite a lot of extent, really, wasn't it? That we discussed how the fact that they would go to these people that had claimed to have seen a UFO and say to them, no, this is not what you saw this, and persuaded that person to come out with a completely different objective to what they had seen. And obviously, when you've got other countries now turning around and saying, well, no, this is this, and here's the report, more and more people now are being more open-minded because of what they're seeing.
And we kind of, when your government did we're going to do full disclosure, and then when they actually brought the report out, that was it. I jumped on that like a cat on a bag of catnip, and I ripped the whole thing apart. And it was like, yes, we have downed UFOs. Yes, we have got technology that doesn't come from any known civilization on this planet, but we can't say they're from elsewhere.
Right. So let me ask you this. What do you think about people, even like the general public, who say that aliens don't come and visit Earth? Because there are those that say that there's no such thing as aliens. They don't come visit us. There's no reason to come visit us. What do you say to that?
Personal belief.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the only thing you can put it down to is personal belief. When you explain it in depth to people, that when you look it up in the night sky and see all those stars, all of those stars are suns, galaxies, constellations are all part and parcel of it. All it takes is for one of those stars or one of those suns to have a planet in the right position, to be made of the right mixture of elements and chemicals and gastric compounds to create a similar planet to Earth, which obviously they call the Goldilocks zone. So if that planet is in the right place, there's no reason to why there isn't life on it. They've already proved that at one point there was life on Mars. So that automatically throws anybody else's theories out the window as to whether there's life on other planets, because we know for a fact that there was life on Mars.
For every pinprick of light, every star, there's supposed to be 2 planets capable of sustaining some form of life. So when you think of just how many stars there are just in one galaxy alone, and then you do that, multiply that by 2, and then do that number to infinity and beyond, because of its ever expanding. There is no way on the face of this Earth we are the only planet with apparently intelligent life on it. Even the Pope, what we've said, we've spoken about, the Pope had a 2-week conclave and brought all his cardinals and bishops in, and at the end of the 2-week conclave, and it was all about what it is extraterrestrial life and what the gods would be. And he came out and said, after the conclave, and said, yep, there's extraterrestrial life. We have to respect their beliefs, and we have to respect whatever their gods are. We need to stop being such a closed-minded religion.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you guys have gone out and investigated UFOs or sightings or encounters?
We normally do. I'm normally the one who I'm known as the alien guy. Hang on, I'm known as the alien guy.
I like that.
But my daughter did it. The Rendlesham Forest 2 weeks ago was the first time Wayne and I have done a UFO one together. But we've done a fair few paranormal investigations, of haunted locations and stuff, haven't we?
Yeah.
And where was this again? The forest? What was it called?
Rendlesham Forest. The Rendlesham Forest incident, very famous. It was USAF forces that found the UFO.
Okay.
So
in,
something.
no, no, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Eh?
No, so go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, we just saying we were down there filming for Truth Beyond Paranormal, weren't we?
Yeah, it's an online show that I present called Truth Beyond Paranormal, which up until recently, for the last 2 years, we just investigated haunted locations. And I suggested to the director that because we look into all aspects of the paranormal, we should really do something to do with ufology. And I suggested Rendlesham Forest, obviously, because that is the biggest UFO incident in the United Kingdom. So we decided that's it. We're going to go, and because Mark's the alien guy, we brought Mark in as well to come along as well. And although a lot of the things that we had, when we go to haunted locations, we could be filming there for 7 or 8 hours and we can get loads of small things. But then when we go to something like Rendlesham Forest, we might not get anything, but it was the atmosphere and the story behind it, which has now created that episode. And simply because it's now, coming up to the 41st anniversary of the sighting, and there's more and more information slowly being eased out. Like the second meeting, there was another incident in the same location where they actually made contact with the beings in this craft. One of the USAF security detail actually touched the UFO and got a binary code come up in front of his vision. He couldn't see anything else. It was just the binary code. And when they did regression on him to try and see if he can remember what the code was, he came out with this binary code, and they've got manuscript after manuscript of this binary code, and they still can't understand what it means.
And he had radiation sickness, didn't he? Both of them did.
But yeah.
He suffers from it now.
Oh, really? I haven't heard of this.
You've never heard of the Rendlesham Forest incident? It was you guys that found it.
I need to look this up.
It's basically RAF Woodbridge.
Okay.
It used to be run by the United States Air Force, which I think was part of the Lend-Lease system that the UK government and the American government had in World War II. Yeah. So basically, you had RAF Bentwaters, RAF Woodbridge, Mildenhall, Lakenheath, and a lot of other bases around the UK were actually loaned out to the United States Air Force. And Woodbridge now has reverted back to UK control and is now part of the British Army, and they have their Apache helicopters stationed there. But it was at the time in 1980 when it happened, it was under USAF control. So it's quite amusing because I was talking to someone today at the actual landing site, and he was saying about he's heard the biggest excuse that was given as to disproving that the UFO landed was a lighthouse at Orford Ness. No. And now Orford Ness is 7 miles away from the landing site. Only it's through a very thick forest, and 40 years ago they weren't. What they're doing now is they're cutting down trees in certain areas, and then they're replanting new trees, and then they will go around to another area and chop down a load of new trees. But back in 1980, they weren't doing that system. So all the trees there were all quite thick, and it was like that for a good 3 or 4 miles before you had open fields to where this lighthouse was. And I said to him, if you look from the car park, you are never going to see that lighthouse from that point.
The backs of lighthouse.
So it couldn't be the lighthouse. And we had the Light Pollution Act, which meant that all lighthouses, any part of the lighthouse that faced land, had to be blacked out so that the light didn't shine inland.
Right.
So they still wouldn't have seen the light, even if there weren't no trees in the way. But they still used that as an excuse.
that picture I sent you, that was the black triangle that was above us at Wrensham Forest. You know, and that was literally right time, right place, right night. Three light anomalies. We saw go over. Not just myself and Wayne, but half the production crew saw it. And then there was the others who wandered off to the car park to get a lighting rig, completely missed it. But that triangle, like I say, was right above us, and I managed to take a photo of it, and there you go.
Yeah, and it was a really good picture, man. That was a good catch. When you, are you guys going to do a show on that or post it? Because when you do, let me know, and I'll definitely share it in my group so you guys get the views.
We are going to be doing a show about it on the Dark Mirror radio show. We were originally, Mark was going to come down to where I am, because there's quite a distance between me and Mark. Mark's in Yorkshire and I'm in Essex. So there's about a 300-mile gap between us. So Mark was going to come down to mine last weekend and we were going to go off. But because of our lovely government and the rumour mill and people panic buying fuel, it never happened. So we've had to postpone it. So I think hopefully in 2 weeks' time, Mark's going to come back down again, and we're going to go out during the day, and see what we can do.
As long as it's not chucking it down, because I am not walking through a forest in the rain.
Your government can't be quite as bad as this one, right?
Oh, what? Have you ever heard Boris Johnson speak about? Oh, bloody hell,
yes, go out, stay in, don't do this, don't do that, but do this, but do that, and he just can't make his mind up.
Right. So you're okay if you have a mask, but you're not okay if you do have a mask. Take your vitamins so my vitamins can work, stuff like that, right?
Yeah. It's like I say, when the Full Disclosure Act came out, we just tore it a new one. We really did. And then the weird thing is about our last night's episode, we were talking about the Chinese. How they've got an orbiting satellite up on the moon, and they took the first photos of dark side of the moon, and there were buildings. I can only say there were buildings, weren't there? But they were old, and we're talking. Christ, they must have been thousands of years old. By the looks of it.
We're talking castles in equivalence, I think.
Yeah.
They were literally just like big stacks, but they shouldn't have been there because they didn't fit in with their surroundings.
This was on the dark side. And as I say, it vanished. The website that we were both read the whole thing. Wayne sent it to me, we both read it, and we're like, right, we're going to talk about this tonight, and it vanished.
So just real quick, I don't want to get sidetracked, but have we been to the moon? Has man been to the moon?
I think we have, but I think a lot more happened there than was let on.
Okay, yeah, and so that's what I'm kind of thinking too. I don't think that we didn't go. I just don't know the people that went actually were the first to go either.
Well, was it Buzz Aldrin? Buzz Aldrin and one of the others have turned around and said that when they were up there were ships watching them.
Right.
And they switched. Even now, the ISS, you'll see ships come along and stop, and then change the camera. We'll be back shortly.
Right.
But there is also like the very famous video that was released by NASA. Whether they intended to release it or not was another case, but it was taken from one of the space shuttles in orbit, and it was of an unidentified flying object actually cruising across the surface. Then all of a sudden it did a complete U-turn, went in the opposite direction, or the direction it had come from, and it literally would have created a like the nib of a pencil, the angle it took. Now, if we were to have done that in a physical aircraft in Earth's atmosphere, we would have been a blob inside the cockpit, because there was no way a human body would be able to withstand the G-forces that would have been involved with that. But it literally just came along and then did a complete U-turn, and shortly after you see something else shoot up from Earth.
There's a flash, wasn't there?
Past the exact point where that object was.
Yeah.
And NASA released it.
Yeah, I've never seen that video. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I think we did go to the moon, but the excuse where we didn't go back to the moon because it costs too much, I think was a very poor excuse. Because look at the amount of money they have wasted since on projects that really have cost a lot more than what the space race has cost.
We've spoken about this before. We've said about whistleblowers. There's certain whistleblowers who have come out and said like there's places underneath the Nazca lines that are thousands of years old, but have got future tech in it. You know, from way beyond what we've got, and they're being used for black sites. And there's portals in there, and it's supposed to take you to various different places where there's supposed to be bases. Again, on certain formats, people come out with and say there's bases on the moon, there's supposed to be bases on Mars, and one of the planets of Jupiter, one of the moons of Jupiter, I think, or something. I can't. Some of it's a bit, but some of it's, could be plausible.
Yeah, it's basic that there's a very quickly growing belief that there is a Stargate system in place.
Yeah.
And although it sounds quite corny to actually mention Stargate, but when you look at things like Star Trek,
H there.
You got Star Trek and the warp drive engine, which they have now said we have got such a thing. There is a possibility, and within the next 15 years, we will have a working engine.
And they've got impulse engines as well now.
Yeah, so there is a strong belief now that there is this Stargate system in place, which allowed ancient civilization to move from point A to point B quickly, without the use of aircraft or anything like that. And even Albert Einstein himself mentioned about wormholes and folding space-time to get from point A to point B. So,
but don't get me wrong, we don't believe everything that we talk about. We get told lots of things, and we'll talk about it because everybody loves coming into the chat room and goes mad. Yes, no, I don't know, and then we'll join in, and it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Plus, he writes his books as well, so
Yeah, he was telling me that you do write books. Where are those books available at? People can find.
Yes, it comes under Wayne Seaton Presents Spook and Ori. So far, I've released 3 books so far. A Whistle from the Hills, based during, or it's based after World War II and the Battle of Crete, which was the first book I released. And that is quite a nice, heartwarming ghost story with a nice, happy ending. And then you've got Lady J, was my second release, about a group of people that decide they want to take a break from travelling to a beer festival, and they end up stopping at a rather haunted house. Although that sounds very much like the typical run-of-the-mill, let's stay in a haunted house for the night.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It does have a very bizarre twist at the end, which makes it different from most run-of-the-mill stories about haunted houses.
Have you got?
And then the last one is called Cricket, which is more of a supernatural Mother Nature type story. But the idea for Spook and Ori came from many years ago. We used to have a children's TV show called Jack and Ori.
That's right.
And it would be celebrities would sit there and read a children's story. And I thought, if I'm going to write these books and write these stories, I want something that's catchy that people will remember. And I chose Spook and Ori, and it seems to have worked. I'm currently on my 4th book at the moment called Job Done, which is about a guy that renovates a house with bizarre consequences. So it's still in the writing with that, because I'm trying to write and I'm trying to move house at the same time. So it sort of gets very difficult to squeeze it in. But they are available on Amazon worldwide at the moment via paperback or digital download.
I've got all of them so far. They're good reads.
Oh, you got yours signed.
Yeah, I got them signed as well. He told me he put a gun to my head and said, "You will say it's a good read, won't you?"
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were you guys involved with first? Was it the paranormal first that got you involved in all this?
Well, I've been I was always intrigued or brought into the paranormal from the age of 6. My grandfather was killed in a boatyard, and for about 6 months after he died, I kept saying to my parents, "I can see my granddad. He's in my room. He's here with me." And everybody had all said, "No, it's because you miss him so much that your brain is telling you that he's there in the room." But after quite a while, my mum discovered that I was actually speaking to whatever it was that was in my room, and I would still swear blind that it was my grandfather. And after 6 months, it just stopped. But I think it was my grandfather visiting to make sure that I was going to be okay, because I was closer to my granddad than I was to any other member of my family. He taught me to read before I even started school. And so I had that connection with him. And since then, I've always sort of looked into all aspects of the paranormal. And it hasn't mattered what subject it is. I've always been reading books about cryptids and like Sasquatch and Black Shuck that we have over here on the East Coast, right the way through to ghosts and UFOs. And I just carried on with it.
Me, I used to watch Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World when I was a kid. Loved it. Junior school had, or I think you call it elementary school over there, had all these books about the paranormal and stuff. And I've always been into it. And then when my father died, both my daughters, it turns out that they're clairvoyant and clairsentient. But my eldest daughter's lost a lot of it as she's got older. They both told me the day after he died what he was wearing, and the only person who knew what he was wearing was me, because it was me that closed his eyes. My mum refused to go in the room, and it was then, because I thought, oh yeah, you've seen Grandad, yeah, and then and I said, all right, what was he wearing? And they told me exactly what he was wearing, down to the littlest detail, and I was like, okay, and But I mean, my specialty is like UFOs and cryptids. I love every single aspect, but UFOs and cryptids, because I'm in the middle of writing, if I ever get round to finishing it, a comedy book about a Sasquatch, and it's done from a Sasquatch's point of view. He goes on his days and stuff. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm actually writing a book too. It's about a character, and his name is Ringo, and so he's basically every book would be like a different adventure for him, kind of either stop paranormal or cryptids or an alien or whatever. And but not all of it's bad. Like like the first encounter he has is with a Bigfoot. That's not bad. He's just acting silly and basically scaring people, and they got to put a stop to him from doing that crap. So I'm not trying to scare the hell out of everybody or put a back stigma on Bigfoot, but that's just what the basis of it is.
Have you ever read any of the Discworld books?
Any whose?
Terry Pratchett, Discworld.
I might have. The name does sound familiar.
You read them. If you read them, you'll understand. My sense of humor is all over the place, and I'm literally the Terry Pratchett books. Nothing's sacred. Everything's worth a pop at. And as I say, we'll do normally with the show. We'll do loads of facts, loads of figures, then loads of funny stuff and comedy and this, that, and the other. And then we'll go back to and talk about something completely different. Then come back and maybe touch briefly on what we were originally talking about. Then we'll go off and talk about something else. And then I'll probably start taking the mickey out of somebody. And then it just all goes mental in the chat room, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite amusing because obviously we'll start with that subject, and sometimes the actual people in the chat room can be the cause of that deviation in the subject matter. Yeah. And I think a couple of weeks ago we started talking. We started talking about the paranormal. Yeah. We had the subject, and we started the show, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we ended up talking about beef burgers. and what our favourite dinner was.
Right.
And I'm like, hang on a minute. We're supposed to be the Dark Mirror radio show. We're supposed to be talking about the paranormal. Where did beef burgers come from? But
we'll do funny bits, isn't it? Like sponsored by.
We do. We have a company over here called Greg's, and basically they make sausage rolls and pastries and coffees and stuff. And then every now and then I'll take a sip of my coffee and we'll go, sponsored by Greg's.
Oh, Tesla. Sponsored by Tesla.
So, we will interject a bit of humour into it as well. And it just then snowballs. And as a result, like I say, we started off with the intention of only having an hour-long show. And now we're getting to 2.5, 3 hours. Because it just continues. The people that are watching are so amused by what we're doing and so intrigued by what we're doing that they also end up leading the show by changing the subject matter. And then we'll start talking about that, which would be totally unprepared by us. So we would be sitting there and we'd actually be live looking up some of the things that the guests in the room are talking about. And it sort of does change things a little bit.
Right, yeah. Well, here's a good example right here. There's a guy, I'm not sure who you are, Facebook user. I don't know if that's Dr. William Lester or not, but there's people that suffer like alien abduction also see like shadow people or worse. Do you think the paranormal UFO is related?
Some.
I think so.
Yeah, some. Yeah.
For example, the Mothman of Point Pleasant.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was, that was an effigy of something that had came in visitation to people, whether it was a prophet telling of coming doom, but it came and warned people. But at the same time, there were UFO sightings in that area at the same time, in the TNT area of Point Pleasant.
Right. Yeah.
So there is that combination there of all of those things. And then there was the strange people that were turning up at people that had experienced either the Mothman or the UFOs and were trying to find out more information about what that person had seen and then tried to quieten them over it. So I think they're definitely all linked. And I think it could possibly be that the UFOs or the occupants of the UFOs, they're not going to, I don't think they would want to come here flesh and blood and stand in front of someone knowing that they could quite possibly get a baseball bat hit round their head. So they'd probably be testing the water to see whether it's capable for them to actually physically be there. And so people would see these shadows or these entities out the corner of their eyes in their peripheral vision. I don't see why not.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. And I think also there's just probably some properties that exist that attract all these entities, and if conditions are just right, everything will show up.
I think it's
We have covered that before. We've discussed about where ley lines converge and meet together. The electromagnetic energy is a lot stronger, and so it then enables either spirit or, in this case with UFOs, to be able to absorb that energy. And with the case of spirits, it helps the spirits to come through a lot more. We find that if you've got ley lines meeting together in an area where we're investigating, we tend to find the activity is a lot stronger than anywhere else.
Yeah.
I think maybe able to attract other animals, including cryptids.
Over here, about the most unusual cryptid, you have got the Scotland's version of Sasquatch, and they're called the Hairy Men. If you've ever been to Scotland, it's probably a load of Glaswegians in their kilts having a barbecue up in the mountains. The only cryptids you've got over here are probably pissed off badgers, and that's about it. There's nothing interesting over here. We have got there's some wolves in Scotland, and we've got some badgers. That's
Oh,
not badgers,
we've got red squirrels.
You got hogs over there too?
Sorry?
Sorry?
You have feral hogs over there?
I think we do. We do have wild boar. I think in
Okay.
Thetford Forest.
Yes, yeah. Again, up in the wilds of Scotland, they released all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So they got wolves back there.
Okay.
But
And we have red squirrels down here in Essex for the first time in a long time.
and that's as good as it gets. We over here we have red squirrels and maybe a badger that's myopic, needs glasses, can't see things.
Well, over here with the red squirrels, the only reason why the red squirrels that were introduced here in Essex have succeeded is because they were introduced onto an island, and the grey squirrel that was introduced into the UK from America brought a virus with them that killed the red squirrel off. So when they reintroduced the red squirrel, there was no grey squirrels on that island. So the red squirrels were able to breed and multiply.
Yeah.
And as a result, they've successfully been reintroduced back into the wild on that island. So they've now become a breeding centre for red squirrels, and the inhabitants are getting rather annoyed that they're being plagued by red squirrels.
Jeez.
I want to see Sasquatch. I've said I've got family over in Colorado, and I've said one day I want to go over there, and I'd love to hire an RV and do the paranormal highway and stop off at all the different places. And I'd love to go Sasquatch hunting. Absolutely love to.
We need to come to Texas for that. That's where I'm at. I don't know if I told you guys that's where I'm at in Texas, and that's what actually got me involved in everything. I was into Bigfoot, even though as a kid I read books on UFO and paranormal and cryptids. Bigfoot's what I started doing first, and then that kind of led me down this road. And, I've had paranormal experiences. I've seen a UFO. I had some stuff happen in the woods. You know, can't say for sure it's Bigfoot or not, but you know, I've experienced a lot of. I found tracks, had stuff thrown at me. Heard the wood knocks, howls and screams, and it's pretty cool, man. Was that?
It was teenage Sasquatch. That's what
That's
that was.
right.
Rolling Stones and stuff. It was teenage Sasquatches. The other ones go, back it in, you know.
There you go. They were probably smoking some pot back there.
Actually, in my book, there's a little episode where he goes near a campfire and there's been a load of weed chucked on it, and he's like, "Whoa!" So yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. Definitely have to get that.
You have to be inside my head to appreciate it, because inside my head, it all goes all the time. So
yeah. Oh man,
it was a bit like that video I showed you the other day, Mark, of the Bigfoot that was seen in them trees.
oh god, yeah.
And we said about how tall it was. It was someone had put down a trap camera, an infrared trap camera, and there was 2 deer, and they kept looking at these 2 trees, and you could see something in between these 2 trees. The trees were up like that, and you could clearly see something was hanging in the middle. And then the guy said, and I went back and recorded during the day, and you could clearly see it, and it was huge. It must have been like 15 foot tall. And then it started moving, and the bloke chickened out and took the camera and run. So, I mean, I think there's got to be something out there. It's just that they're recluse animals. They, you know, or beings. They just don't want to be out in the limelight and walk the streets like every humanoid out there. And they don't want to be disturbed, and that's their home.
I think it's what my theory is: Pangea, Gigantopithecus over every single bit of Pangea. Then it all breaks up. That will explain why you've got the Yowie in Australia, the Bhutan, the Himalayas, South America, North America, Scotland. You know, it explains why you've got them all over the place, because it was Gigantopithecus went everywhere, and then little pockets survived. That's what I personally think.
Well, it's no different to humans. If you look at all the continents of the world, we supposedly have started in Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we're in just about every single part of the globe.
There you go.
Oh, did I just say globe for flat earthers out there? I'm sorry.
We have to edit that out or something, even though we're live. We don't want to make anyone mad. Yeah.
I've always said you can tell that the world isn't flat because cats would have knocked every single thing off.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too. Yeah, so I was going to say real quick too. This guy here, the one who said that the books are great when you mentioned that earlier.
No, there is him. I've got them all. I met him a couple of times. Fascinating.
Okay, yeah, man, yeah. But yeah, Ken's a good guy, and here's Lupe. He said he got some great recordings, Joe. I said a lot of my stuff to my buddy when I find stuff. He's a real good outdoorsman, and so and that's one thing I like to do too. When I get some evidence, I send it to reputable people, and let them see. Like if I ever get like a UFO picture, what I think is a UFO, I'm gonna send it to you. I'm not gonna send it to my mom. Hey, mom, do you think this is a UFO? She's gonna tell me, yeah, of course it is. I'd rather send it to you, and you tell me, Joe, what you got here is a freaking helicopter.
We don't think every single thing we see is paranormal because you know yourself when you go on an investigation, 99% of the time, the only thing you'll catch is a cold. But it's that 1% that makes you go, ooh,
Yeah. And, that's what
I mean, the paranormal is my full-time job. It's whether it's writing my books or going out investigating or presenting the online show that I do, it's that's my work. So when people send me photos or they send me video clips, I will scrutinize them as much as possible, and I will look at all possible avenues as to what it could be. I'm not like a lot of people that will turn around and go, "Oh my God, that is paranormal. That's a ghost." I will literally look at all possibilities first before I even go down that road.
And so when I'm on this subject, what do you think about people who turn in evidence and it's like blurry, pixelated, and they're circling and they're telling you there's a family of Sasquatch right here. They got a baby, they got something in its hand, and it's like I can't make heads or tails.
I've seen that one. Oh my God! No, love, it's a tree.
Or you can't make it out. And what I always tell people is like, I'm not saying you didn't see it. I'm telling you in this picture, you can't make shit out. You can't see
it's not clear enough.
Yeah. And people get their feelings hurt.
I mean, we did have a case a couple of years ago where a very well-known TV show had claimed they had caught the first manifestation of the ghost.
Yeah.
And it made national newspapers, and everybody was all up in arms about it. And they would go, "Oh my word, you've caught a first manifest. There's a ghost. You can clearly see it walking up the stairs." Yeah. Until somebody turned around and said, "It's one of your crew."
Yeah.
And then the excuses came out. It's stone tape theory. It's this. It's that. It wasn't really a ghost because the spirit that they had picked up on camera walked exactly the same as this particular crew member. And as soon as everybody mentioned it, the excuses came out.
Yeah.
And if you're going to fake something, then you've got to at least fake it in a way that no one can criticize you for it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to do that because there are always going to be people there that are going to say that's good CGI. You look at it on TikTok videos. I get a lot of UFO videos through my TikTok, and the amount of times when you see a video and you think, "Oh, that's not too bad," and then all of a sudden you look in the comments and it's great CGI Microsoft has come out with there. One last night I watched was soldiers in Afghanistan, and a UFO, a triangular shaped UFO, whizzed straight past them, followed by an A-10, went chasing after it. And you could clearly see it was CGI that they used.
Yeah. And that's what annoys me because it makes, because we don't do any fake stuff. If we got something, we'll say, "What do you think?" We don't go, "Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that." We're, like I did with that triangle one. It's like, that's what was above us. What do you think?
Yeah.
And we do get sent some pretty dodgy fakes, don't we? I mean, stuff that you look at it and go.
I think the worst one is pareidolia.
Yeah.
Pareidolia is the worst. When people turn around and go, "Look, I've seen a face in this tree," and you're going, no, that's not a face. That's leaves just in the right position with the right light. It looks like a face, but it's not. And I think one of the biggest examples of that was after Princess Diana's body was put on the island at the ancestral home. A lot of people claimed that you could see Princess Diana's face in the bushes on the island. And then everybody went, no, that's not. Yes, it looks similar, but that is just leaves. And if you do a depth analysis on the photo, you will clearly see that it's 3 bushes overlaid on each other.
One, yeah.
And it's just that they've taken the photo at that particular time that it looks like somebody's face. Mm-hmm. And it's just then association that because that's the island that Princess Diana is on,
right,
that it's going to be her.
And it's like when you watch TV series, I mean, it does say for entertainment purposes only, but it's when you get every single episode where something happens at every single investigation that they go on.
Right.
It never happens. You know, or somebody will see dust and go, "Orbs!" No, it's dust, or it's a spider, or it's a spider's web.
Yeah,
you know, and just. Oh.
And that, I mean, that's what we've got rid of with Truth Beyond Paranormal is we don't have any episodes where nothing happens, because what we do is we go to a location and while we're filming for an episode. When we're sorry, I think I had something paranormal happen by the side of me.
Somebody got mad.
I think it was my cat's trying to get out the back door, even though the back door is closed, and he's just knocked a bottle of drink over. We will actually go to the location with the aim of filming an episode. But what we also do is we do a live feed through Facebook at the same time. And we will have a live feed running throughout the entire duration of the night. So although we end up with 1 hour long episode, and it will be composed of maybe 7 or 8 different investigations in that location, if anybody liked a particular section of that show, they can go and look at the entire live feed of that area rather than just 15 minutes.
Right.
So there's always something for the viewer to watch. And I think that's where we've sort of done something that nobody else has, because we've constantly got the live feeds going.
Yeah, that's a really good idea too. I need to do that when I go out, because I can get signal some of these places.
On our one, on the Dark Mirror show, we do the show live every week, but if we go on location, we'll do like regular lives, 30-minute lives throughout the whole investigation and that. Because you can't really do a live if you can you hear me? Is there somebody there? You can't do a live while somebody's trying to say hello to you, It
was a bit, but it's a bit like me today. I was going to do a live feed today, and by the time I got down there was no reception on my phone whatsoever, which was completely different to a fortnight before. Yeah. I had reception on my phone. I was able to do a live feed. I was able to communicate with people, but this time round, it was the same phone, the same location, but I had no signal at all. And I'm just like, well, maybe I won't be doing a live feed today then.
So, about I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, we went out to a location where a friend of mine named Walter had his encounter with Bigfoot. And I had never, ever experienced this, where the batteries go dead. He bought 2 packs of 16-pack AA batteries for his night vision camera.
Yeah.
And I think they held like 4. And we used all those batteries and none of them worked, right? We get home, try them out again, and boom, they were working.
That regularly happens, especially at Kelton Nuclear Bunker, Kelton Hatch Nuclear Bunker. There's one room in there, and it drains everything.
Yeah. Well, these didn't drain; it just didn't work. Because when we got back to his house, we put it back in. I got the camera right over here, as a matter of fact, and it's working great. That was the weirdest thing. Yeah, and I don't know where that came from or how that happened. But one thing I wanted to ask you guys: what do you guys think of the Patterson-Gimlin film? You guys are familiar with that?
Oh, sorry, it broke up on you. Say again.
Are you guys familiar with the Patterson-Gimlin film?
No.
That's from 1967, the Bigfoot that walked across the creek.
Yes.
What do you guys think about that video? Real, fake?
I think if that was a fake, the special effects for the suit and everything were way in advance of what they should be.
The thing is, as well, as it actually moved in the right fashion.
Like an ape. Yeah.
Right.
You know, it had that sort of like half man, half ape like movement. And it was fluid. It was fluid movement. It, you know, if it was an actor, apart from the fact that it must have been the guy that was in Chewbacca's costume, because he had to have been pretty tall,
right?
But he had that fluid movement,
right? And
I just no, I mean, I can't. You know, I definitely think there is some credence to that video.
We've had the same discussion about the alien autopsy thing. You know, the special effects. If it was fake, the special effects were way ahead of what they should be.
Yeah.
What do you think about that interrogation? The video with the interrogation.
No, I think that's a little bit. It's a little bit too sketchy for my liking.
Yeah. Go and interview Paul. That's what that should be. They should be interviewing Paul. Now I believe that.
I think it was too choreographed.
Okay.
I think it too well staged. I think for my liking, it just screamed fakery.
You guys ever seen the video of like the supposed Greys looking into the windows of this guy's house? They were like surrounded. Have you seen
in the front room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that was someone playing a prank myself.
Okay.
I wasn't convinced. Wasn't convinced.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the video quite a few times, and I look at it, and he sees it, doesn't he? And he goes, "Whoa!" and he jumps back.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to the window again. It's like watching a horror movie, and then they hear a creaky noise in the basement, and what do? They go down in the basement to investigate it. Mm-hmm. Anybody with common sense would not be going down into that basement on their own.
Right, and it's the same. Fast to find some new underpants.
An alien creature pops his head up at the window, and you see it. The last thing you're going to do is run away and then go back again to see the same thing again, or worse.
Right.
I'll be picking up my phone and I'll be phoning the police and saying, "Excuse me, can you come over here? There's something outside my house and I don't like it."
And I'm not coming back unarmed.
I'll be reaching for the baseball bat pretty quickly. Yeah, I mean, I just think that's the owner's friends. I think were just playing a prank with him, and just used a face mask and just popped it up by the window. You know.
I've got one for you. What do you reckon to Skinwalker Ranch?
That place is definitely one of the strangest places on earth.
Yeah.
Everyone that goes over there, it seems like everyone that goes, it will definitely experience, whether it's a cryptid, an alien, something spiritual, demonic, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on over there, there's definitely something there. The government definitely knows about it. I've talked to truck drivers who have said they've driven by there, and whether or not they see anything, they say they get extremely creeped out. And these are truck drivers that I've talked to who didn't know anything about Skinwalker Ranch, and they were like, "Man, once I found out about it, it all clicked on why I got so spooked going by there." You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I talked to a lot of truck drivers that actually have seen some weird shit running alongside their trucks. You know, these guys are going 80 miles an hour. You know. It's a very strange place.
I think there's a certain that I certainly think, again, this is one that is quite popular when we talk about it, isn't it? I think Skinwalker Ranch is like Grand Central Station for doorways and thin places. And I think there's loads and loads of different doorways to different realms, dimensions, whatever you want.
Right. Kind of like on Men in Black when they were in there going to the little airport. All the aliens walking around.
Yeah, because I mean, they had at one point, didn't they? There was that underground septic tank or something that they looked into.
Yeah.
And there was a high level of radiation in there, which got one of the guys ill.
The Texas guy.
And when they went back to test it again to make sure, everything was normal. No. I mean, like, radiation does not disperse that quick.
No.
You know, so there should have still been traces of radiation in that tank or whatever it was they went into or opened up. Yet there was nothing. everything was perfectly normal.
Here's one for you about radiation. All religious texts all have the same incidents, just told differently on the same timelines. And when you're looking into the Mahabharata, and they talk about the Vimanas and the gods having their wars up in the air, and they describe thermonuclear radiation and some sort of beam or something. There's parts of India that have been hit with thermal nuclear radiation about 25,000 years ago, and you can see it and you can measure it, and they've said about 25,000 years old. How?
Right. Yeah.
You know.
And there was the depleted uranium that they dug up out of the ground in Russia or something.
Million years old. Yeah, it was a million years old. Isn't it?
Oh.
And you don't get it in nature. It has to be man-made.
So and obviously for the age of that, it wouldn't have been man-made because man wasn't around then.
It would be alien-made.
So something made it.
Yeah. I was thinking that earlier. I really thought that.
My doppelganger. There you go. Yeah. But so I had a friend of mine. He had a stent put in his heart, and 2 weeks later he went to Mexico. And on his way back, he got stopped at one of the checkpoints, here in Texas.
Yeah.
And the alarm went off when the guy was checking his truck, and he's like, what's going on here? What do you have? He's like, I don't have anything. And the guy asked him, have you been in the hospital? He's like, yeah. He said, what do you have? Because I had a stent put in. They told me that dye they put in them was actually radiation. This was 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later, and they picked that up. Yeah,
I've got a metal leg that sets off the the metal detector things that you walk through. I've got an artificial leg that looks like R2D2 and literally looks like R2D2. And every time you walk through any of those things, they go beep, 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 beep. I kind of like Star Wars, just a little bit.
A little bit? Okay, I'm a Star Trek guy. But I do like Star Wars, but I like Star Trek better.
I like the new Star Treks.
Okay.
I like anything sci-fi.
Not the ones where William Shatner's going like that.
Oh, those are the best ones. Those are the best ones.
Fuck you, got to get us out of here.
Those are the best ones, man. That's a great
With the old,
Stop, Captain. I can't do no more.
with the old paper mache monsters.
Yeah.
You know how they did the doors? You know the doors opening and closing? Do
There
you
you
know how
go.
they actually did that?
I like that.
I'll show you. Hang on, I'll show you. There you go. R2D2. Told you.
R2-3PO. I like that shit.
My sexy body. The doors, when they go, it was a piece of paper in an envelope, and they put a filter over the microphone and put the envelope in front of it, and it pulled the paper out, and that's what
Really?
the noise is. The door,
Okay.
yeah, that's what the noise of the doors is.
Oh, that's pretty nice. I like that.
Random piece of information for you there.
Yeah. And Star Trek, as big as it is, it was only on TV for like 3 seasons. People
That's
think
right,
it went
it
on for
wasn't.
it wasn't on very long, but it's become this cult phenomenon, and I love it. It's one of my
I
favorites.
do like Jean-Luc Picard, and I like the series Picard as well. That was good.
Okay, I haven't seen Picard yet, but I need to do that.
Watch it. Well worth it. Well, especially the last episode, you're going to be like, you're the fourth person I've met on here who's missing a leg. We should form a quartet.
You're not missing it though, are you? It's never been there. You're not
I
missing
take it off, put it beside the bed, stand up, fall over. I get legless every single night. No alcohol needed.
There's a joke in there. I'm gonna keep it clean. But
You can see why I'm saying it. I just legless every night.
I was gonna
But
say
this is exactly what happens with us on the Dark Mirror radio show. We start talking seriously, and then all of a sudden, it's just gone completely haywire.
I was gonna say, we get up in the morning, do you put it on the right stump? That first step gonna be a hurt one, boy.
That was, to be fair, normally if I'll hear a thud in the night, and that means it's fallen over, and that means, and you'll hear a little word, you'll hear me go bugger, and then go back to sleep again.
Bugger, I like that. You would go like shit.
I ride motorbikes with it and everything,
Really? That's pretty cool, man.
I ride motorbikes stupidly fast, but yeah, I do.
All right, what's the worst can happen?
Hey?
Well, anyway, guys, we're up on our hour, man. It was great talking to you guys, and like you said, we kind of wander all over the road, but that's fine. We do.
I think we should invite you onto our show one week, and then you can be a guest on our show, and you'll see exactly what we mean.
And I'll do it, man. I'll do it. If I got to get up early or whatever, I'll definitely do it.
You have to let loose. You've got to relax. You've got to be really relaxed and just let yourself go with the flow.
Yeah.
There is swearing. There's rude jokes. A lot of rude jokes. Normally at Wayne's expense. And there's a lot of knocking about. But we do come out with bang all these facts and figures, and then everybody in the chat room starts going off on a tangent about stuff. So we just follow the chat,
Yeah.
Yes, the fifth kind, didn't we? We were talking about that. That was I've used the app. I got the app for it because I'm trying to find people to do it. The fifth kind was awesome. Yeah.
He has another thing. You guys can swap shoes. Well, cool, man. So tell people where they can find your show.
Facebook or YouTube, and it's live on Facebook every Friday, 9 p.m. GMT, which is
5 hours behind, isn't it?
Are you 5 or 6 hours behind at the moment?
6.
It'd be 3 p.m. 3 p.m. your time every Friday afternoon on Facebook. Just type in the Dark Mirror Radio Show, and it'll come up.
Cool, man. If you ever want me on, I'll leave work early. I've got a pretty cool job, and
I think we'll. I'll tell you what. How's about? Because we always do a Christmas special, don't we? We always do a Christmas special, and we do a quiz, and it just goes all mad. Everybody has alcohol, gets drunk. The cat gets drunk, falls over, everything. So I'll. No, you won't trade for a hand, mate.
Dude, you and Lupe could be twins then. I think Lupe's got 4 fingers left.
I've just got a very vicious cat.
There's a joke there too. We won't go there.
This one.
Oh, okay.
Very vicious.
That's a murderer, that one.
Oh, we're done there. Yeah, join us for the Christmas one if you want.
Yeah.
That's always
just send me time and a date. I'll be there.
All right, mate. As soon as we know when we're doing it, I'll let you know.
You guys have any parting words? Any words of wisdom for the group?
Yes, look up Rendlesham Forest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, guys. Y'all do that. I don't know.
And remember, keep your eyes to the skies. Aliens.
About you, Wayne? You got anything?
I'm lost for words now. Mark's just said it all, basically. Just hope everybody stays safe and always keep an open mind.
Yeah, always. Don't let the buggers get you down.
Okay. Well, I don't know what this means.
I subbed that as Rectum Florist. You are not shoving a bunch of daffodils in my mate. I'm not Morrissey.
Yeah. Shannon's a good person. I haven't seen you in a while, Shannon, but so thanks for joining, and thanks for everybody else for coming on the show too. And we'll end with the Rectum Florist. Thanks, guys. You have a good night.
Bye-bye.